Brent Brennan continues to close in on his staff. Some very familiar names. All of that and more on Locked On Wildcats.
You are Locked On Wildcats, your daily podcast on the Arizona Wildcats. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. This show is brought to you by FanDuel. Check it out, FanDuel.com. All right, now we got a lot to get to this show. We're going to break down the coaches on campus that you need to know, what this exactly means for Arizona athletics or Arizona football moving forward, all that and a lot more. All right, but first, we got some names. We got some guys who are in here and who are ready to rock and roll, ready to go. All right, Bobby Wade. I love the Bobby Wade hire. Bobby Wade, to me, is one of the 3 or 4 best receivers in school history. Now, at this stage in the game, I think we know that Teteroa McMillan is leaving here as the best receiver in school history. I don't think that I'm really breaking any news. But the amount of after that, it becomes pretty interesting. Dennis Northcutt to me is number 2. And because I think he had the best combination of explosivity and ability to get in the end zone. Then after that, I think it's Bobby Wade. I mean, Bobby Wade, Mike Thomas. I think I prefer Wade because I think he was a little bit bigger, probably a little bit more maybe a little bit sturdier, but Mike Thomas was right there as well. But either way, Bobby Wade brings a lot to the table. First and foremost, he is he's a U of A, ex-U of A great, obviously, but also a Phoenix kid. Keep in mind, too, he was a Phoenix State Player of the Year. He was the Arizona State Player of the Year. And not only was he the Arizona State Player of the Year, he could have gone pretty much anywhere he wanted. He was the equivalent before the recruiting rankings really came out of, a high 4-star prospect out of Desert View, I believe, or Desert Vista, one of the two. Obviously, he was coaching at ASU this past year. We won't hold that totally against him, but obviously not huge fans of it. But either way, this is a good move. And he's wanted to get back here. Brent Brennan has mentioned multiple times about his relationship with Bobby Wade, so that obviously helped as well. But again, a hire that I like. Brent Brennan is obviously going to go with guys that he feels comfortable with, as he should. Guys who have a familiarity factor to them, and that clearly is something that Bobby Wade has going for him at this point. But again, Brent Brennan, he moved quickly on this. Now, again, we're still working on the OC. We're still working on the offensive coordinator and who exactly that's going to be. But so far, so good. I think, like I said, Bobby Wade is definitely Bobby Wade is the right man at the right time, I believe. Now, we're going to go a little bit out of order here because we're going to go in off today's show. We're going to go by guys that were announced in what time. Duane Akina. All right, now Duane Akina is one of my all-time favorite coaches here at the U of A. I don't want him as the offensive coordinator. Those were really tough offenses to watch. If you know, as the kids say. But defensively, I think he's fantastic. I love Duane Akina as a defensive coordinator, and I think he's super motivated. Duane Akina coming in here, I think it's a good look for everybody across the board. First of all, his energy level is next level at this point. You very rarely see guys that are his age that move around in the manner in which he does. Again, just a very special dude when it comes to that, and a guy that definitely, from a coaching perspective, gets it. Watching him with the work with the DBs and just the defense in general this past year was something to behold. Now, a lot of people are saying that Jedd Fisch probably held back his Twitter game. I think you're probably right about that. But either way, Duane Akina is, I think, somebody that is going to be able to tether the defense together perfectly. Keep in mind, with Akina also, it becomes a little interesting because he is also the defense under Johnny Nansen became much, much better under with Duane Akina in here that second year. In that first year with Nansen, who we like on this show, but in this first year with Nansen, it was weird because it just felt like the linebackers, the defensive line, and the secondary were not really moving in lockstep. It felt like one guy was kind of, one group of players were kind of moving in one direction, one was moving in the other. And the communication, it just didn't look like was there. Neither did the synergy. Duane Akina certainly fixed that. And again, I think a lot of it probably goes to Johnny Nansen as well. So we got to give Johnny Nansen a lot of credit. But overall, I think this was a unit that just looks a lot better. And not only does it look a lot better, it also looks like a group of players that clearly just wanted to be together. Now, the DBs, they really took off this past year. From Tacario Davis to Ephesians Prysock, these guys were big time. Let's talk about Tacario for a second. Tacario led the nation, or I think he led the nation in pass deflections. And keep in mind, this is a guy that came in as a really tall corner, wasn't super highly rated, but overall was, obviously a good prospect. And he came in and he immediately started to change things up a little bit. He was more active. And I think what I also really liked about the DBs is that they were pressing at the line of scrimmage. I loved seeing that. What you saw before was a lot of times you were getting DBs that were essentially giving free releases to the wide receivers, and you were just essentially hoping that they wouldn't get open downfield. That didn't occur under Duane Akina, and that's something that I think that we should all keep an eye on. But when it comes to the DBs, when it comes to the defensive backs coach, I don't know that there's a better defensive backs coach in the history of college football. I really don't. From what he did here at the U of A, from a Chuck Cecil to a Darrell Lewis to a Chris McAllister, who is even better, who is still kind of his standard. This guy was just kind of able to, this guy just understands defensive backs. He also understands defense. I think he's energized. I think the opportunity that he is being given here, who knows how long he's going to be, but I think that he is energized by this opportunity, and I think that he wants to get this one going. And honestly, from an Arizona perspective, this is something that Arizona could absolutely use. I'm excited to see what exactly he can do. Now, there's other coaches coming over from San Jose State that we need to know about, along with the strength staff. But first, FanDuel. All right, check it out. FanDuel.com, my friends. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Check it out. All kinds of good stuff going on. We got football coming on. We got football still going on, and we got basketball as well. The two coolest sports going. There's no better opportunity now than to hop onto FanDuel.com/lockedon. Again, you will thank me later, people. Again, you can bet on games before, you can bet on games when they happen, or before they happen, or you can even look at them and say, you know what, I want to bet, I don't know, maybe a prop or something. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Check it out. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I'm your host, Mike Luke. All right, now let's talk a little bit of Alonzo Carter. Alonzo Carter is not official yet, but I would imagine that Alonzo Carter is going to be official sooner than later. Running backs coach at San Jose State, Zoe, as they call him, has a very, very good reputation. Not only does he have a very good reputation, he's somebody that is known as an expert recruiter. In the Bay Area, everybody knows who Zoe is. And the reason that everybody knows who Zoe is because he's good. He was in line to interview for that San Jose State job along with drawing a blank here with Dante Williams, who ex U of A defensive backs coach, but he was in line to with all those guys, and he obviously didn't get the job, but or it doesn't appear that he got the job. It seems like that's going to be Ken Niamataolo. But overall, though, this would be a nice little addition to the U of A coaching staff. You bring in Alonzo Carter. We like Scotty Graham here a great deal, and we will continue to like Scotty Graham. Scotty Graham is the man. But obviously, Scotty Graham is now in Washington. So, Alonzo Carter's gonna have a lot to work with though when he comes here. You got Rayshawn Speedy Luke Fam coming back. You've also got hopefully you get Jordan Washington in here. You got Brandon Johnson. You got a multitude of other players. But there's, like I said, there's a lot to like with what's going on. I also think that, excuse me. And I was actually remiss in this. We're going to go back real quick and talk about Bobby Wade. Bobby Wade's going to be dealing with the best wide receiver in the country this coming year. And it's going to be fun to watch him work with him because, again, Teteroa McMillan is what NFL starting wide receiver number ones look like, period. That's what they look like. They look like Teteroa McMillan. The way that he can go up, he can get the ball, he can jump, all of that stuff. Bobby Wade was, like I said, one of the best wide receivers here. I'm also excited, though, to see Bobby Wade working with some of the other dudes, like a Kevin Green Jr. or an A.J. Jones. Kevin Green, I think, as great as Jacob Cowling was, I think Kevin Green's going to be able to make up a lot of that production. A.J. Jones is kind of this in a similar spot where he's a massive dude. Shout out Tony Jones, by the way. But he's a big guy. He can run fast. Excited to see what he can do. Malachi Riley, same situation. A big dude who can move. And I'd like to see them. Who knows? Even Montana Lamonius Craig, maybe he steps up a little bit. But you got a lot to work with in that. You got a lot to work with in that receiver room. So again, I was a little remiss in not bringing that up about Bobby Wade and with Duane Akina. Obviously, the entire defense from Tacario Davis. Maybe you get back Ephesians Prysock. Who knows? Or, a trade in Stukes, but then you've also got the safeties in play, and you got a lot of dudes on the defense across the board from a Jacob Manu to, on the defensive line, a lot of different players. And then, I'm so sorry, I wanted to go back and just mention that, but then Alonzo Carter from, I'm very curious to see what Rayshawn Speedy Luke looks like under Coach Carter, assuming Carter becomes the running backs coach, because again, Fam I thought was underutilized. I thought Fam should have touched the ball 10 to 15 times per game last year. That did not happen. Did not like it. I would like to see, I think Fam is actually, in a weird way, I think Fam can actually be a featured back. I think that he's got the frame to get up to about 185, something like that. And we've seen it before. He had a burst that absolutely nobody else on the team had. And it was a burst that you either have or you don't have. Fam has that, and Fam had that in a big way. So, again, I'd like to see Rayshawn Speedy Luke get that. And then, obviously, I think you'd like to see somebody in the portal, maybe add somebody in the portal. Maybe somebody from San Jose State comes over here and he can replace some of Jonah Coleman's production. Again, Jonah Coleman was a loss for sure. And that's something that, Arizona definitely needs to address. But then Oglesby, looking at the new O-line coach, I'm excited to see him being able to work with a really, really talented offensive line. Let's be honest here. Jonas Savanea coming back was obviously huge. Jonas Savanea would start for absolutely any offensive line in the country, like whether that be Georgia, whether that be Bama, you name it. Jonas Savanea is starting. So, and he's probably going to head out to the NFL after this year. You look at Big Jonah for 5 seconds, and you know that Big Jonah looks different than everybody else. Because again, like T-Mac, that is what an NFL player looks like. The way he carries his body, the way that he carries his weight, the way that he carries everything is just really impressive. And you generally don't see that from a You just generally don't see guys that look like that. Wendell Moy, another one that could probably play in the NFL at some point. As long as he's just got to continue to get stronger, keep his weight in check. But Wendell Moy was another really, really good find. Then Josh Baker back. He's the quarterback of the offensive line. Excited to see what he can do. And then Leif Magnuson. I love Leif. I am a huge fan of Leif. Leif, let's be honest here, should have played more last year. Leif not playing in the Alamo Bowl until the very end was silly. It's cool. Joe Bourgeon, cool story and all that, but Joe Bourgeon should, if you can keep Joe Bourgeon off the field at tackle, then that's probably a good thing. Leif should have been in there. When Leif came in at guard and you move some guys around, it became a lot different in that game. You always need somebody like Leif, and Leif is that dude. And then, at the tackles, we'll find out who Oglesby's going to be working with. You could have obviously you got a Deuce from Alex Deuce from Northwestern that I know the previous coaching staff absolutely loved. And I think that all indications are that he'll probably be a starter. But then after that, who knows? Maybe you get Raymond Polito back. I certainly hope you do. Obviously it's been kind of an emotional time for the Polito family, but I would love to be able to see them get back because, again, Raymond's another guy that has a lot of potential. Raymond Polito can play football, and he is a huge dude. So, and then after that, again, you got your Elijah Paynes, you got your Rhinos, you got your Tylen Gonzalez's. There's a lot of talent across the board on the O-line for Oglesby to work with. I'm excited to see how he does that. And then the strength staff. So bringing in a guy from Stanford with David Shaw. Here's kind of where I'm at with the strength staff. And I got to give Jed Fish a lot of credit because Tyler Owens was next level as a strength coach. He just was. You saw the development year in and year out from how players got bigger, how players got better, how players got faster. And a lot of that is credited to Tyler Owens. He knew exactly what he was doing, and guys got bigger, and you could just see the development. But that's got to be able to continue. And I think that's a big thing. That's got to be able to continue. And not only does it have to be able to continue, you've got to be able to have a staff that is able to, maximize that. And I think that's what's going to happen. Listen, Brent Brennan isn't a dummy. He knows that he's got a really talented roster at play here, and it's going to be it's going to be incumbent upon him to continue to work that, to continue to get the most out of these players that he can, because he's got a team that is ready to go for broke. I think that going into the Big 12 next year, Arizona is going to position itself very favorably, and we're going to talk about that next. Thanks for keeping it locked on Wildcats and making this your first listen of the day. I am your host, Mike Luke. All right, now, Arizona going on to the Big 12. Listen, Arizona's still got to figure out you still got to get another pass rusher for sure. There's no doubt about that, because you're probably going to lose Isaiah Ward, but you got Deuce Davis back. You got Tai Uiagalelei. You're going to have to get another pass rusher in there. I don't think that there's any doubt about that. You might be able to get somebody from San Jose State. Who knows? But the talent level on the team, I think, is probably about as good as there is in the Big 12. I think that, listen, I know what Deion's doing in Colorado, but I'll still believe it when I see it, the way they melted down at the end of the season, the way that he started throwing people under the bus left and right. I don't know. I kind of soured on Deion a little bit. Kansas, Matt Leopold. Lance Leopold is the man. Lance Leopold is one of the best coaches there is in college football, period. He is really, really good. Obviously, Kansas State's got a great coach. Mike Gundy is obviously the class of the Big 12, just from what he's been able to do of late, the last 20 years. So there's a lot to like about where Arizona positions itself. And again, it starts with the offense. With Noah Fafita, you've got, I think, probably the best wide receiver, the best quarterback in the conference. And not only do you have the best quarterback in the conference, you got the best wide receiver in the country, and you got an O-line that is really you got a loaded offensive line as well. And not only do you have a loaded offensive line, you got an offensive line that pretty much across the board has NFL talent, has all conference talent. There's not one person on the O-line that you're like, he shouldn't be out there. So again, that all from an offensive perspective figures out. I'd like to see add one more running back. I'm huge on what Fam can do, obviously. And then defensively, you've got a group of players that can, you got a group of players, especially in the secondary, that are good. You got Jacario Davis, you got Traden Stukes. Those are two really, really good corners. You got 2 or 3 safeties that can all play. You got Duane Akina coming back, which is obviously a really good thing. And then Jacob Manu, the quarterback of the defense. And then, like I said, in the down line, BBN, Big Bill Norton, players like that. So again, I go into the Big 12 thinking that Arizona should be able to win the Big 12. And not only do I think that Arizona should be able to win the Big 12, I think that Arizona is in a very unique position to compete for it with a new coach. And we're going to find out, obviously, we're going to find out really quickly if Brent Brennan can coach. Because as much as I don't like Jedd Fisch right now, again, I don't care that Jedd Fisch left. As a matter of fact, I don't blame him at all. You take the money, you got that kind of, but obviously I don't like how he left. But one thing you got to say is that Arizona has a lot of talent, and we're going to find out very quickly. Can Brent Brennan coach? My guess is that he can coach. And for all the people that keep saying, oh, well, San Jose State, they were 7-6, 8-5, whatever, you got to remember that San Jose State. San Jose State's one of the most difficult places in college football to win. You don't have a ton of support. You don't have a ton of resources. So a lot of that is just kind of trying to make things happen that, it's going to be difficult. Brent Brennan will have a lot more resources at the U of A. And I think you're also going to see him connect on a level and I also think you're going to see him embrace the community in a big way, in a way that, is befitting of somebody that's the U of A head coach. Now, the other thing that is also really exciting, and we got to give Dave Hickey a lot of credit here. Dave has gotten, like I said, we talked about it before, Dave's gotten a lot of arrows in the past. Dave Hickey deserves all of this. After Jedd Fisch left, Dave Hickey had interviewed 3 to 4 guys, and within 48 hours, he had his head coach. And he obviously feels very, very comfortable with Brent Brennan, as he should. You watch Brent Brennan, you watch Dave Hickey, you can tell that they have a very strong respect for each other. And that's something that, I think in this day and age, when you can get burned sometimes by college coaches, having that trust factor in there is something that is really, really cool. And it's awesome to see Dave be able to get the guy that I think he probably wanted to hire from the beginning. You could tell at the presser that he choked up a little bit, and Brent Brennan gets it. Like I said, he's been here before. He knows the culture. He knows everything involved. And I think that, with his staff, with everything, this is going to be a very, very nice marriage. But again, like I said, the staff's going to continue to fill out. We'll continue to find out more about it as it comes. But again, this was the save of the century by Dave Hickey. He did an amazing job here. And I think a lot of people were wondering, what exactly is going on? How are you snowed in Pullman? But Dave also showed that he has a really good idea and a really good grasp on what's occurring. All right, now, tomorrow we're going to keep going with Arizona football, obviously, some Arizona football. We're also going to talk a lot of Arizona basketball. Arizona basketball is now up to 9th in the rankings, but they're not playing well. And I think we need to figure out exactly what's going on with the Arizona Wildcats basketball team. But again, it's still a good problem to have when you're ranked 9th in the country. So we'll address that. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit of football as well. But on that note, appreciate you guys all listening to Locked On Wildcats. We will be back with you tomorrow. Bear down and back the A.